scared? You know, I am you. I'm coming closer. I will catch you. The time it goes tick tock, tick tock, tick Are you afraid of the dark? Are you scared?
Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, the Paranormal Portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together. Hello, gatekeepers. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Boo. Boo. It is spooky time. Spooky time. Don't you just love spooky time? I love it when I look out the kitchen window and there's one tree and there's one branch that the leaves turn first anywhere that I can, visually out that window or that side of the house. And it's one little group and it just starts turning red. The first thing in the yard, every year. It's so wild. And of course, the branch gets larger, every year. And it's kind of neat, to have something like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, fall's coming, fall's coming. Hey, Ted, welcome, welcome. How's Connor? Good to go? Yeah, yes, Pam. It's wonderful to see you. And yes, the baby's beautiful. Of course, he's beautiful. Holden Chandler. We're talking about Holden Chandler Stockton, and he is absolutely perfect. And we couldn't be happier for the lovely couple. We didn't expect anything different. Of course he's going to be perfect. And Lulu Bell, hi, sweetie. How you doing? Catherine, welcome in. Good evening. Good evening to you. Good evening. Hello, Scott. Drink that water slow. I agree with the salt under the tongue. That's kind of interesting. Take a salt tablet, right? It's like there's so many jokes that go that way, but just, be careful. It's amazing to me after talking about the Battle of Monmouth, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I think we ended that, or was it a week? I can't even tell. The weeks are like, years now. The days are like months. The hours are like, it's everything's speeding up. They got to get off that CERN. Somebody get the monkeys off the buttons that are pushing over there, because it's no longer funny. First, I think we probably got to get this out of the way, but I want to say hello to everybody. So welcome Uncommon, Henry. Good to see you. Welcome in. We'll have a good time tonight. This is our little escape. This is our, the world's gone nuts. In this little space right here, we're just going to talk about the really loony things. And, they've been calling us crazy all our lives, so we might as well just, party on, my friends. We'll hang out with the ghosts and the aliens and the big feet and the dogmen and the portals and things that make sense. Things that we can sort out, because the rest of this world is going on fire. It's absolutely crazy. So, to our dark slingers out there, and the evildoers, and the people who can't seem to color within the lines of rule, as it usually is. I have one personal word again. Really? Again? Question mark? Okay. Here's our answer. Tick tock. Are you scared? You should be. Tick tock. Light beats dark every time. Every time. So some it takes longer than others, but you got to hang in there. So there is something for light workers. If you wanted to look up to something that constantly is standing against darkness and taking that, light workers know kind of what kind of weeks it's been. I mean, it's been tough, right? It's like you're walking through and, just invisible fists just keep boom, 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 boom. You just keep walking. What is that one clip? And I don't know. I don't know if it was in Patriot or if it was in, it might have been in Turn. I don't think it was in Turn, but it's a guy and he's obviously walking down the walk of a ship, like an old pirate ship around the Revolutionary War times. It could have been Civil War. I mean, it's hard to tell in the clip, but there's all this stuff going on around him. There's shrapnel flying and cannonballs going off, and the sides of the ship's exploding, and wood, flying all through the air, and just all this stuff. And he's just slowly walking down not even flinching, just going, just walking down those steps. He's obviously got a place he's going, and he's not going to be stopped. That's what this feels like. And I think it's felt like that for light workers for a long time, because when you're in spiritual warfare, whether you know it or not, and if listen, honey, whoever you are, if you're walking through your day right now and you're not feeling like you're in spiritual warfare, God bless you. You're doing something right. If you're not feeling anything, just keep going. Just be like that guy. Just get to the other side. Don't stop. What's that old saying? If you're walking through hell, don't stop. Keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. And so that's what we're doing. We're gathered here tonight for some, I guess I'll look into other people that have gone through what a lot of us have gone through, is all these, different experiences, and look for answers and trying to sort it and trying to retell their story, with as much descriptive um, you know, words that they can use, and it's so difficult, and you'll hear the hesitation in their voice, and you don't only hear the hesitation, but a lot of times you still hear that deep emotion and that obvious, venture back into a traumatic moment or a dramatic time in their lives. And in some cases, all their lives. Many people have had, like myself, and many people listening tonight, experiences all your life. And I think welcome in, Kat, and hello to all my mods and everything else tonight. Right before I came on here, excuse me, I was getting all kind of information. I was doing some editing, and I had to do some last minute stuff, and I was DMing some future guests coming on because I'm hitting a lot of things, trying to get a couple of different, spooky people to come in here for spooky time, and of course Halloween season. And you start getting hit with more news, like, what next? What? Excuse me? I've heard it all this week. And not to say that it's all not happening. It is. It's all happening at the same time. And wherever you are, of course, you're going to have some of that stuff plus some of your own and everything else. And I think last night I was thinking a lot about one of the new people I found in this documentary I'm going to tell you about. She had, some of these people had me looking back. I think every time you hear one of these retellings of somebody's experiences, you kind of look back and hearken onto your own, of course. It happens to all of us, and we can kind of like sympathize with some of those people. Like, yeah, I know what that's like, man. That's rough. But, as I'm setting all that up, I'm getting this new news coming in, and I'm like, again, really? Okay. Obviously somebody's scared, somebody's worried, so it's so simple to me. It's like, if everybody I dislikes one person, more than likely, that's the person I'm going to be with, and somebody scared, somebody really, really scared, well, here's the thing. Well, we already know what you are, because that means you don't have the cojones to step up and just win stuff on your own merit. You got to cheat, you got to sling things, you got to, jail people, and you got to take people out of your way. You can't just win a fair fight. Well, that tells me you're a scumbag. That whatever you're bringing to the table, you don't have enough to win on your own. So you don't have nothing I want. And especially if you've shown me what you've had before, I can see, I can discern. Probably don't want any more of that. Hey, Vixen, how you doing, sweetie? I was thinking about you a lot today. Are you good? Because you were on my mind. You kept popping into my mind. And I wanted to make sure that before tonight was out, if I didn't see you, I wanted to put the word out that that I was thinking about you, just in case. Because like I said, light workers, that's what I'm trying to get to, is I think everybody's feeling that. They're feeling the blows. They're feeling that, oh, God, man, it's just like everywhere I turn, I go to work, I go on the road, crazy people driving the wrong way. You got, what the hell is this with, my pets and stuff like this, it's like my cats have slept with me it's like they hear it. They're sleeping with me every night. And I'm like, I got you. I got you, baby. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy. Even have to filter this through your own decodes and your own mind. Is like reality. I can't tell the difference between sarcasm and reality anymore. Can you? It's just all blurring together. So as light workers, I think you take an extra kick in the ass with that, because everything is trying to drain that light from you. And it's just, everything is draining. It's, the conversations with, family, or your, oh gosh, what the heck's going on back here? Sorry about that. I didn't mean to throw all that light on you. So, conversations with family, just, unsolicited, people jumping up in your energy and in your space and just telling you what, being all free with their, interjections into your life. And in some cases that can be really irritating, especially at the wrong time. So it's very hard to kind of keep above the line, and it's like at least 150 times this week I went, screw the line, let's dip. Don't lie, you did it too, and it's okay. How many people were hands up for the dippers? How many people dipped a toe below the line? You got a little angry, you got a little mad, you flicked off that car, you all right. Listen, you want to hear me? So I want to say it's about a week ago, almost, yeah, exactly a week ago yesterday. Coming home from work, and I'm 10 and 2, always 10 and 2, because ghosts of drill sergeants long past. Yeah, dippers. I know dip dippity doo dah. And so it doesn't mean, just get back up. Just, just get back up. We've been in the darkness. We know what it's like. We know how to get back out. Just get back out. Just don't let anything get you by the leg and yank you all the way down in there, because that's a harder climb, right? So don't let them drag you down with them. So I'm coming home and I'm 10 and 2. And I've got my phone on speaker, and I'm talking to my son. I'm going home and I'm saying, hey, we got to do the driveway shuffle kind of thing. And as I'm driving, we have this big influx of new drivers, right? I use the term loosely. Anyway, I'm going on this road on the way home, about a mile from the house. And it's kind of, you can tell it at one time, it was probably an old, we have a lot in Jersey, those what they call carriage roads. So they were only so wide. And then, of course, infrastructure, people over years, it gets wider and wider and wider. And you can tell where it's cut into these yards and these houses. And now you've got these houses that are right by the road, and it's got a short driveway to back out. And I think, oh gosh, I would never want to live in a place like that, because you're backing out into traffic all the time. And it's just nerve-wracking. You'd want to get one of those U driveways, and even then you're taking, your life in your hands. So I'm going down this road and I'm paying attention, because it's just instilled in me, being a driver in the Army. I don't care how long ago it is. It's just all muscle memory. It's just, that's all I can tell you. It's just, you do certain things and you do them without even realizing, all these safety checks and things. So I'm going down, and I'm doing every bit of 35, because that's the speed limit. It's one of those where it goes 30, 35, 30, 40, 45, 30. It's one of those roads. Now, I'm going along, do. And all of a sudden, this one lady is out, and her nose is so out. I'm asking what kind of car, because if it's older than a 75, I probably don't care. And they all look the same to me at this point. It's a truck, it's a car, it's a vehicle. So she's pulled out, and I can see at least half of her rear doors. That's how far out into the road she's pulling, so she can see if she can go the rest of the way out, right? And I'm like, geez. And I look ahead, and I got enough to go around her, and 2 or 3 cars behind me follow the same thing. She's not moving. She's just going to sit there until she can get out, because she just can. And that's what she's going to do. She knows what she's doing. Don't tell her how to drive. That kind of thing. So I'm not even looking. I don't want to even make eye contact with this heathen. Whatever you're doing, I don't want any part of it. Just let me get around and go about my business. You go carry on. So I said something about it over the speaker on the phone. And I said, yeah, this woman, she's got her nose out in traffic. I'm like, I don't know why people do that. That bugs me. And when people stop at a light, and then there's that person who leaves that gap so that other person can get through, because we're going to be cool about it. But here's the thing, folks. If it's a double lane, you're probably going to get them killed, because they're coming through. They can't see cars coming up on your back end. And once you give them the space and you're doing that kind little, come on, you can come on through, they're just going to gun it. And I've seen more accidents caused that way. Don't do it. You're kinder if you just move up and go when you can and let them take their shot. Because once we all start, trying to do the car ballet, that's when stuff happens. Especially now, you got an influx of all kind of people that should never be behind the wheel. And that's added to the last ones that never should have been behind the wheel. So I'm driving along, and I just get around this woman, and up a little bit more, and we're all back in line. We're straightened out. We're trucking along, and all of a sudden, this white panel van in a hidden driveway, and I know it's there because I travel this road every day, but you just didn't have a chance, because right in front of me, whoever's driving this panel van just guns it, backs it into traffic. So he's trying to back across me and back into the oncoming traffic for me and get on the road, because we're just so busy. We're just so busy that 5 minutes of waiting for that light to change and for the traffic to be clear. It's just too much. It's too much. It's too much. So we can't even see. So we're just going to take a chance and we're just going to just hit that gas pedal, just pedal to the metal, just back it up, Randy, and you can get right in there and take off and everything is going to be fine. No, Randy, you can't, because you just pulled right out in front of me. Now, here's where it gets crazy. Here's where it gets crazy. I see it, and the last thing I really remember having any control over at all is saying the two words that I said out loud and looking to see what was coming on the oncoming traffic, and did I have enough time to get out of this guy's way, because I was just going to plow right into him, and with his momentum coming this way, more than likely if he had clipped me in the front, he'd have pushed me into oncoming traffic. So I remember looking, I remember the whole thing, but what I'm saying is I'm not sure I was the one doing it, if you catch my drift. So I remember looking and I'm like, I got this. And I just, all of a sudden, muscle memory just kicks in and I cut that wheel, go cross oncoming traffic, straighten it back out, ride the shoulder, pass like 2-3 cars, come back across. And as I come back across that traffic to get back in the right lane again, I go up. I'm on 2 wheels. And the other thing, I'm not completely up, but I'm going there, I'm going there. So the next thing I remember doing is just don't overcompensate. I mean, I'm just hearing that old drill sergeant, whoever, mom teaching me how to, whoever, that voice, and I just dip. I mean, a fraction of a dip on the way, and she just laid right back down and just straightened out like nothing happened. And I just went, whoo, all the way home. I didn't even look back. I didn't want to turn into pillar of salt. You know what I mean? So I didn't even look back. The reason I tell you all that is because if you just trust yourself, what you already know that you know, don't let others tell you you don't have abilities, or let the world beat you up and make you think that you're not good enough, or you're not strong enough, or you can, or you don't know something, or you're gaslighting them, or they're trying to gaslight you, or who's gassing who, what's going on. No, trust you. Trust you, your guides, and the people that have been walking with you since before you were born. Your ancestors, faith, yourself. Because I think you're stronger than you think. And when you just let go, Jesus, take the wheel. I'm telling you. I didn't have it. If I had it, I was out of myself, because it's just one of those, you've had those experiences where you just like, whoa, did I just do all that? That was awesome. It was just like, wow, that was just amazing, and of course I don't have a video of it. As far as I know, there's nobody else had a video of it. I see 1,000 million videos online, but you'd watch it a couple times, because the aerial view of that must have looked spectacular. And you can hear the wheels were all the just, it was just so much noise. It was crazy. And how that didn't flip that Suzuki Reno, I have no idea, but that car has just been the absolute best car. She is a go-getter, man. I would never trade that car. She can just go with me. She's been amazing. She's got me out of more stuff, but it was just like up on 2 wheels coming through. I was like, whoa, it's crazy. So crazy things are going to happen, and you're going to get through them, and you're going to be just fine. Trust yourself. Because like I said, if you're a light worker, I guarantee you're going through some stuff. They're going to throw some stuff at you, and you just got to keep swimming. Just keep swimming. So that being said, how y'all doing? Don't waste Franks on him. Who's giving Franks? Franks and beans? Beans and Franks? Do we all have Franks and beans? With bacon? We kind of get the bacon. Ooh, with the brown sugar. It's twice baked. And you've got the bacon on the top. And it's got just the right amount of onion in it. Little spicy mustard. That's how I make mine. They're so good. But so by the time I get done with it, with all the bacon and the baked beans and the brown sugar and the caramelized everything, it's almost like it's candy. It's almost like some kind of weird bean, bacon jerky kind of thing. Like candied bacon jerky, bean jerky. I don't know. Anyhow, Broad enough for the whole class. And thank you, mods. I want to say thank you, everybody. You know, when I have a guest like I did when John was here, our historian, uh, again, if I'm reading the chat, I've stopped hearing what they're saying. I've got this thing. It's like a weird superpower that I picked up when I was a kid. Like I could ride a public bus and read a book, and I wouldn't, unless I needed to know something, unless it was an emergency. I mean, it was that honed. I don't know how I did it, but you know how kids find a way, and your mind just kind of finds a way to survive weird stuff. So when I would read, everything would just black out. I would just cut the whole world gone, unless I was present, but I wasn't necessarily participating, if you know what I mean. So I can't cut that off. When I start reading, everything goes off. I've stopped hearing with the guest, so I can glance over and I can make sure that the mods are taking care of stuff. If there's questions, I might catch them. You know, sometimes the mods know, so they'll repeat them 3 or 4 times till I see it, and things like that. But especially when we're getting intricate into something like, you know, generals maneuvers and things like that, and, you know, recon and military tactics and stuff, I got to be paying attention, you know. So I appreciate that. Appreciate the extra help and all the links and everything else you guys are doing. I think it's wonderful. And for being kind to each other. You know, just coming in and having somebody recognize you and saying, hi, welcome, how you doing? You know, it means the world. It really does, because you get that initial spark of human kindness. And that's what they're trying to cut you off from. Don't you let them. Don't you let them. And that's why the perfect segue into I am dropping between now. Hopefully I'm pretty sure I have enough to do the whole thing. And if not, I'll just make them a little shorter rather than cut them off. But I'm dropping mystery marathons. They are dropping at my 12 noon Eastern time. And they usually run till about late 5 o'clock-ish. So you've got a good 5 hours. And if you're having a hard week and you just having a hard time getting through your Friday, or it's at the end of your Friday and you just need to tap into some light, come in there, drop something in the chat. You don't have to stay if you're at work or anything else. If you can, listen to it in the background. It helps me. You know, maybe let a few ads play. That helps me out. You know, StreamYard just doubled on me. It's getting hard on everybody, guys. Everybody's got a story. So if you can do that for me, it's not going to cost you anything, and you can just let it run or whatever. So that is coming on 12 o'clock every Friday between now and Halloween. That's what I'm trying to do for you. And I'm putting it in there not only for you to get another chance at hearing some really good mysteries and some really cool visuals. You know, some of them I got to be a little fancier with than others. I really liked the Something Wicked This Way Comes. The visuals in that was really cool. I could find just enough stuff and, you know, movie gels and things like that to kind of bring the story to life a little bit. But the real nod goes to, of course, any of the actors that did the voices and the screenplay and the writing and everything else, and they're all credited. So enjoy those. And again, more than anything, it is whatever you need it to be. If it's just to jump in the chat and say howdy to a friend that might be in there and needing to get in touch with another light worker and say, man, it's hard to keep the lights on today, isn't it? Yeah, I might have been blinking. I guarantee you I got a short, so maybe I need to change a fuse, you know. Man, it's rough. But before you know it, you'll be laughing and you'll get your vibration lifted up a little bit, and you know, maybe you can get through the rest of your day. Maybe, you know, it'll help out. So if we can do that for you here on this channel, there you go. And again, it's free. So please hit the like when you're in there. Maybe leave a comment. All the comments in the chats help me out. Share it with a friend and say, hey, you know, somebody that's, you know, going over your granddaughter's or somebody's having, oh gosh, only knows. Somebody's having a party, or you're gathering, or you're decorating the house for Halloween and you want to have something on in the background and put it on the big screen. The visuals are real. I try to put some stuff up there that's just fun. Some of it's cute. Some of it's nostalgic. Like you might see a couple clips of Casper the Friendly Ghost just to remind you what it was like to be a kid at Halloween. It might be an old Halloween commercial, and then you might have another mystery. So there you go. Something to listen to, something to watch, something to, carve pumpkins to, or build a fort in the living room. Pop some caramel popcorn and listen to some mysteries. Try to guess who the murder, who was the murderer, who was the whatever the missing thing was. It was something. Was the house really haunted? Was it a ghost, or was it just something else? So the way a lot of these mysteries are, we did. What was it the other night? It was Vincent Price Tells Us Ghost Stories. I found some 1975 and 77 vinyl LPs of Vincent Price telling different ghost stories. It's fantastic. And I'm working on something, and I'm listening to it in the background when it was playing and talking to some people in the chat and stuff, and working on some artwork. And I was actually sitting there listening to these stories. It's like, man, I'm scared. This is really cool. Because the way certain people read things and their inflection and the way they build up, some people can just tell a story. It's fantastic. So there's that. Thank you, mods. Thank you for everything else. So what do I have for you tonight? I have some really cool ghost stories. One of which I can't remember if I showed it to you about a year ago or not. Sometimes they blend together, and I know I've seen them 5 or 6 times or whatever by the time I'm done editing and everything else, or just watching it to see whether or not we want to show you, and if it has a theme or whatever I'm doing with it. So sometimes I forget whether did I show it that night. I know I dropped it with that show, but I think we ran out of time and I didn't get to show that clip, and then it goes in the hopper again. It comes back around. So I have one of those tonight. So if it's about a 5-6 minute, if you've seen it before, I apologize, but it's a great story. And then I've got some new ones that I think is kind of cool. So wait a minute, you guys asking questions. Let's go back and make sure that I've caught everything, because I felt bad I didn't get to talk to you guys last Sunday very much. So good to see y'all. I'm so glad. And Kat, again, thank you for all your help during the week. She's been doing some great little shorts for me, advertising the Friday, the Friday mystery mix. And she's always sharing it out and, trying to get the word out there. And I really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot, because like I said, everything's going up for everybody. If we could do something that's free for people, and just by clicking a like or sharing it out, or maybe sharing it to a different platform just to get it out there, it doesn't cost a thing, and I appreciate it. You are doing good, Vixen. Good to see you. Oh, you did apple picking and started gathering the components for my medicine bag. Oh, great. Next weekend I start my second course of my entry. Oh, I love that. See, this is what I'm saying. Please find something like this to do, or whether it's even just, go out and, walk in the grass, just go out and make fists with your toes in the grass or something. Doesn't have to be a very long time. I was just talking to a friend of the show. You would know the person, but I don't want to divulge. That's their story to tell. But I was talking to him the other night, and we were talking about, it's like sometimes you just got to get out of the house. You just got to just go out, water some, get the hose, water some flowers, maybe clip back some things. It's getting fall, go out and decorate a little bit or whatever you want to do. You don't have to buy anything new. You can use stuff you already have or make something. And you'd be surprised how rejuvenating that is, especially if you could do it with a young person or another person that has a good high vibe and you can vibe off each other. That's great. It's the direct opposite of walking in a room with an energy vampire and feeling drained. So, it's kind of it's so simple. We forget all the time. Everywhere I go, there's a drill sergeant there. That's correct. So, it's like, especially when you go, it's either a drill sergeant, a spirit guide, a guardian angel, one of my ancestors, or my mom, because I hear stuff all, don't do that. Tell them this, say this, use this phrase. What? Okay. It's not all the time. And when you want it, or you need it, or you think you need it, or you really wish it would come and tell you what's up, it's not coming. It's not coming then. That's when you got to sort it for yourself, I think. And that's part of the conversation I was having with this person the other night. It's pretty cool. Oh, goodness. I think I said hi to everybody. We said Connor was doing good, right, Ted? Oh, he's getting so big now. How much does he weigh now, Ted? He's got to be huge. I'm sure he's growing as fast as little Holden is. Beans and Franks are making me hungry. All right. I think I caught everybody. I hope I did. If I missed you, it was not on purpose. Okay. So, a Midwest, welcome in. So, yeah, I mean, this week it's been really something. So, what do you do when, the blows come? I mean, what do you do? I heard something the other, this is wild, but it has to do with energy. And I think that has to do with tonight. And of course, anything to do with ghosts or any of that stuff is going to be energy and vibration and frequency. So, did somebody ask me what kind of tea? I have started my fall teas. This is caramel apple, just caramel apple cinnamon, I believe. Very good. It's a light. It's not as it's not as spicy as it sounds. Although I'm sure it could be. And to go with those, I went full on fall. Tonight I am doing the one-legged frosted ginger boy, and yes, I trust me. Yeah. So anyway, fall into fall, people. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Leaves are turning. I hear pages are turning, which is weird because here's the thing. And I'll try not to mention after this. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's fine. It's fine. And for those who know, they know, but it works either way. So here's the thing. When you say you're turning the page, it pretty much means, you're turning the chapter, you're moving on with the story. It's kind of been molded to mean even more so, like we're turning the page, we're starting a new chapter, a new book. They should say something more like, this book is done, we're shutting the book, we're shelving the book, and we're taking out a whole new book. Maybe we're just going to write a new book, that kind of thing. But when people use things wrong with such arrogance, it's hysterical. It's like somebody coming out and saying, I'm so glad I'm part of the gang. Well, what do you want your name to be? Lone Wolf. Well, you're part of a gang. You're not exactly lone. So that doesn't work. That kind of thing. So when you're getting out in front of, tens of maybe teens people and saying that you're now going to turn the page when you're the only book in town and have been for 3 years, we're going to turn the page on ourselves and do what? This is the kind of lunacy that you're living through in your week, and you're going, is it me? No, honey, it's not. Stay the course. Stay the course. Oh, gosh. Okay. So last night, it was like, I don't know if you guys are having trouble sleeping too where you are. I don't know if they're like, there's people pushing buttons again. There's EMFs bouncing around. Insert your theory here. But it's almost like the princesses in the pea. You can feel the energy and you can feel the vibe, and it's like, you're almost asleep, but and it's not anticipation or fear or worry or anything like that. It's a frequency that just keeps you on this level of just right before sleep. It's really strange. You can get better at that, the grounding and expelling your energy and, doing all those things, all the little grounding things, even the simple ones like the hug in a tree or, touching grass, but in the middle of the night, it's very hard because that's also when some things get stronger. Don't ask me why, but they do. And a lot of light workers are going through that too. So by showing you ghost stories and showing you things and people that have been through the darkness and faced whatever I'm sure was horrific to them at the time, was scared, however their reaction was or what the outcome was. At the time it's happening, it's at this, I can't control this. This is all happening to me. It might be happening for me or, whatever, but still, it's not something I'm doing, and I have no control like I did with the car, right? And your adrenaline goes through you, and at times that adrenaline is there to help you through whatever the crisis is. I mean, we've all heard the things, the mom flipped the car off the kid, and people do extraordinary things. Your adrenaline's pumping, even naturally, even not even like induced with something else or enhanced with drugs. So when that adrenaline goes through you, it's going to have different effects on people, whether it's fight or flight, whether it's to run, again, to punch, to do whatever. And, if it's in a car situation, it's that whole, and then you just do things. And then after the fact, when that adrenaline starts wearing off, you get that shaky kind of chill thing. And I think a lot of that happens in paranormal experiences as well. And I think it's very interesting too, to see how people handle that. How did they come out of it? Is this something that traumatized them through their whole life? Is this something that continued? Was it one and done, but it still affected you all that time? So there's a lot of questions to be asked there, and a lot of things I think actually prepare a light worker. I was having a conversation with somebody about that. I think it was this week, about preparing, yourself before you go to work. You're all caught up, and it's just basically trying to find the shoes that match the thing that, where's my pants, whatever, where's my wallet, get the keys, get the kids out, whatever. It's such a hectic time beforehand in the morning for most people that leave in the morning. And then the traffic, and then, they've got the news playing at the same time. Because you need the traffic report, you want the weather report, you want to see what's going on in the day. So now you've got that frequency coming through the radio at you, or whatever music you might choose to be listening to, sports or whatever. But I think even in sports, that could be very adrenaline and frequency changing too, because you're either happy your team lost, or you're excited your team won, or you're frustrated about the picks, or whatever it might be. It can be an outlet in some ways, but it can also be something that churns that up. And then by the time you get to work, you're like, oh, now you get a parking spot, you get out, you got your stuff, you got your, whatever your situation is, then you walk into wherever you're going to spend your day to work, and whatever that situation looks like. It's very stressful in the morning. I think even more so at night coming home. But if you think of how things have been set up like that, you've got the heavy traffic and the adrenaline running, you got yourself trying to get ready, the more things they're adding that you have to do in the morning, you don't have that. Think back at how calm things looked. I'm sure they weren't, because families are families. But all of this, like TV shows in the early 60s, what it was like for everybody leaving, they all had these like opening, where they're introducing everybody. I'm thinking like Father Knows Best, and you young people won't remember these, but your Donna Reeds and things like that. Somebody was there, in My Three Sons, it was Uncle Charlie, so we're not talking about, you had a grounder at the house that took care of all the things that would be taken care of, and then you came home to that, and the household ran just like a manager. The household ran well, and your laundry was, if you got lucky, miraculously done. Maybe you had a nice meal waiting on you, maybe a kind ear to listen to you, like, how was your day, that kind of thing. I think we had a lot more home-based touches where we could get that, maybe we provide that, maybe we're that person, light workers do a lot of that. And that whole scenario may have changed for a lot of people. Maybe you're that person at work. Maybe you run your own business and you're the person that greets everybody, or you take care of things and they can just come and go and do whatever their task is and go. That's the way a lot of families are. You're getting everybody out in the morning, and then wow, and they come home, they don't even realize how many shows like that. You don't appreciate that I got the ring, out of your collar, you ring around the collar and all that shit. And I made a Jello mold, that kind of thing. Not that was no small feat, because I sure didn't want to do it, but I wound up doing it in my own way. I certainly didn't do it in heels like Donna Reed, but they did it in combat boots. But they got fed. So, what does all that have to do? Well, folks, I think it was set up because it's all this grinding stuff, and then what are you going to do? What did they make famous? Do in the morning on top of that is coffee or tea, wherever you may be. Caffeine. Now let's add caffeine to it. Now let's grind everything up. Let's turn up the dial a little bit on the traffic and the crazy stuff, and let's get that news playing in that high frequency. It's like you can't escape it, and you don't even realize it until you're in it. Right? No wonder we're all basket cases get by the time we get to work, and then it's just, and then you get hit with all that. Right? And then it's home again. And then probably that in reverse, right? Same thing. And I think if we can change like maybe one or two aspects of that, maybe change the music, maybe change the lane you're driving in, maybe not go so, maybe slow down, maybe leave a little early so you can slow down, and let the idiots go. Let them go. Let them go do what they're going to do. You're going to get there just 2 minutes behind them, see if you can do something at night that makes that a little less hectic in the morning. Set yourself up for that. We're going to have to do things that counteract the stuff that's getting flung at us. And it's simple things. It's not always big things, but they have big results. Some of the little things have big results. Like I said, maybe it's the music you listen to. Maybe do a half calf, or, not as much calf. Maybe you don't need so many energy drinks if you maybe cut back that. Don't help them screw you up, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Because it also seems, there's a little thing I have in here that talks about, if you're a paranormal investigator, you have to be very aware. If you're moving into a house, or you're in a house, or you're in a situation that maybe when you get all sparked up, or you get crazy, that's when things get crazy around you. Maybe you have that situation. So you have to be careful as a paranormal investigator. How are you walking into an investigation? What are you taking with you? And that's just you. What's going with you that you don't know about? Because what's being drawn to you, and what's being drawn to your energy at the time, and that very well may have an effect. In fact, I know it does. Has an effect on the reaction you're going to get on your investigation, and what's going to be attracted to you. So this makes sense. So a couple of these people that we're going to see tonight, they take that into consideration. Like, they'll say, okay, well, I was going through a lot at this time. I wonder if I stirred that up. I was watching I'm watching a lot of stuff, a lot of research, because I'm trying to plan so many different things. You never know what guest isn't going to show up, what night you're going to be on your own. You'll spend 2 weeks setting something up, and right before that, something will happen. It's been happening a lot lately to a lot of podcasters, because there's a lot going on, that affects people, and, so, whether it's, they're sick, or a kid is sick, of course you understand, we'll catch you again. 12 Angry Men 3 days ago. Yeah. Oh, that's got to be one of my top 10 favorites. I hope that, I hope so many people get to see that. So good. So well written. And guess who's in that? EJ, our friend from CBS Mysteries. I know his name as well as my own. E.G. Marshall. He plays the man with the glasses who's talking about, forget which one. Which one was he, Ted? He was smart. He had a good part. I mean, they all did. But yeah, that's a classic. So there it is. It's the simple things. It's, such important to remember, because it's so easy to get caught up in, whether it's the morning stuff or rushing around doing things, if you could just say, tap the brakes, get all four wheels back on the road again, straighten her out, slow down, and then, whew, makes sense. Magnificent Seven. That was such a good one. We were just talking about that one yesterday. I saw Yul Brynner and Magnificent Seven, the original, if you haven't seen it. Harvey's a good one too. I highly recommend that. That one's just going to make you feel good if you haven't seen the original. I hope they never redo that. But anyhow, so I'm looking around and I'm researching stuff and trying to find different ghost stories and things, documentaries and stuff. And I'm going through and I found one that I hadn't seen. It's fairly new. I would say probably a 22, somewhere around in there. And it's well done. It's very much like, I don't think it's a series. I think it's kind of a one-off. It might have like they might have different specialty ones that are coming out or something. I'm not sure. But if I find out about it, I'll let you know. But it was called Truly Paranormal. And I think the subtitle was something like, Haunted Lives, Visitors from Hell, or something like that, one of those. So you think, oh my gosh, this is going to be, a real rootin' toot, Here comes another one. And I put it on, and I was shocked at how good this was. Just when you think you're not going to see another one that's decent and well done, found one. So you can watch it for free. It's on Tubi, and I'm going to have the links for you. But I wanted to share you this. Since I've been trying to get so many, people, I think it's got 4 or 5. I think it's 4 separate people that tell their stories, and the documentary cuts from one to the other, and they tell a little bit and then go back and then they finish. It's very well done. The cinematography is fine. It's how they didn't quite reenact everything, but they showed flashes of like visual aids. Let's say it that way. It wasn't step by step run out, they let the people tell the story. Fantastic. And it wasn't like that one what's that one that the person's telling the story and then they change shots and the next thing you know, you're looking at one eye or the like the bottom lip and the chin of the person. It's, what is that about? Let's try something new. Stop it. Just let the person tell the story. Or, it's like they're saying, I felt like I was being watched, and there's this like mad, blood dripping demon standing behind, breathing hot breath down their neck. I always tease Jack Kenna about that. He says, I like the drama. It adds to it. And I'm like, okay, yeah. But that's not what he said. But anyway. So I'm listening to this, and I loved each one of these people that were telling these stories, and just the way they told them and everything. But 2 popped out at me, and I contacted them both today. I got an answer back right away from one of them, and he was just fantastic. I absolutely love him. And the other lady, I hope that she gets back with us, because I think you would absolutely love her. I think she would be a great fit for this chat. And she's just a fantastic medium and light worker. And, I just think she would have wonderful things to say and tips for us, and we could get so much from it. So I hope she answers us back. But till then, you can watch a documentary. But before we get to that one, I wanted to show you this short, and I really liked it. It's about 10 minutes or so, and it finishes up with a local haunting that's by me. Hey, OG, welcome in. That's close to me. And you remember last week we were talking about the Battle of Monmouth and how the British went through, and went off to Sandy Hook and kind of got away, and everybody was mad at Washington. Why didn't you follow them? Because there was a lot of people, and we would have to fight our way through, and we wouldn't have a Continental Army right now because we were kind of outnumbered by the public. So they got away, and they went to, which is Washington knew what he was doing, and they went back up to New York. Well, this is a piece that goes along with that, but it's the same spot. This is some of the aftermath that may have happened, that did happen after the Battle of Monmouth, because you still have your stragglers. Now you've got spies on both sides, and they're both tattling, and you know, they're on each other, and then you've got prisoners on both sides, and they want a prisoner swap, and you know, we've got this big old, you know, lieutenant colonel, you know, we want to get 2 privates for him, or we want to get 2, you know, captains over here. You know how it goes. The Battle of Monmouth, I kind of fast forwarded through that part, and just to get to the part where they're starting to talk about the local that we have here. What's up, D-Rock? How you doing, Chogo? Who's Utah? Dragon. I'm trying to read. I've got the light right in my eyes, so it's hard to see. 1946. What's going on? Spinning circle. No, I don't have a spinning circle over here, honey. I'm good. I'm all good on all screens. Just back out and come back in. Just refresh, go back and come back in. That usually works. Sometimes too with the chat, when I'm in the chat and I answer on my channel in my chat, and I'll put up a comment and I'll wait. I'll be talking to somebody and I'm not getting an answer. I'm not getting an answer. And it's just my chat sitting there. I have to back all the way out and come back in again to get the, and then I saw like somebody had like 4 or 5 comments after that, but the chat froze. So sometimes that means that you've got to go back. If it's an Android, you got to go back into your, you know, your settings, go to your apps, and then see if there's an update for that app, or shut your phone off and let it all update. Usually it's that, a YouTube update, or I don't know. I can't advise on iPhones. I don't know. And then on PCs, I don't know, but I've never had it happen on the PC, just my Android. So if anybody's having that. Oh, Dragonway. Is it an old Vincent Price? Okay. I hadn't heard of that one. I'm finding a lot of Vincent Price. I'm trying to get him some more ghost stories and things like that he did. And I'll tell you what, I don't care if it was put together for like, you know, teen slumber parties or whatever. I love to hear these stories. And I think it's great that people like him and Boris Karloff and stuff like that did do these, and they tell them so well. So I'll put them up there, and you know, if you want to listen to them with the kids or whoever, and bake pumpkin cookies, or you know, if I can be a part of that and be a background for that, fantastic. You know, enjoy. Here's Vincent Price. You know, make memories. It's fantastic. So this one is the little story about a little local haunt. That's not it. Here we go. I'm pressing buttons, Ted. Put the seatbelt sign up just in case this Hot Mess Express just might take a hard turn. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, that's it. Let me see if it's nice and loud. Turn her up and listen to this wonderful little historian. And it's a good little story.
Out on Sandy Hook were the New Jersey Royal Volunteers, the Skinner Greens. So they decide they're gonna launch a raid, come across Raritan Bay.
That's our coast.
And try to capture Captain Burrows. In those days, it was important to capture important people. They would be used as pawns in negotiation. So if you were a notorious person, it was good to have you in your jail. So if ever you needed to have a prisoner exchange with someone, it's good to have somebody important. So Captain Burrows was very high on that list. So they decided to launch a raid. It's a night of May 27th, 1778. It's about 12 midnight. And what's interesting, this is almost exactly 1 month to the day of the famous Battle of Monmouth, which took place down the road in Freehold, which was called Monmouth Courthouse in those days, which was the largest land engagement in North America. And so the Skinner Greens decide to send a contingent, about 70 Skinner Greens, to try to capture Captain Burrows. So they're coming across Raritan Bay by longboat, and they land up around Keyport, where they can get into more shallow water. And they're starting to march in this direction. Now, some people locally who are loyalists are starting to join up with the Skinner Greens as they're coming in this direction. Now, the Patriot spies up on Fox Hill also notice what's going on, and they kind of put 2 and 2 together, and they see Skinner Greens coming toward Middletown Point, and Captain Burrows happens to be on a leave with his young wife. I'll bet they're coming for Captain Burrows. So Patriot spies came here to the mansion, and they told Captain Burrows that there's Skinner Greens coming this direction, and they're probably coming for you. And so Captain Burrows jumps out the back window, swims across Matawan Creek, and is hiding in the woods up on the other side.
Where the shark attacks were.
The Skinner Greens are coming in this direction. The Patriot spies also let the Patriot militia units know. So now,
do you guys remember the shark attacks from 1812? that we did a whole series on it, and that's what Jaws was based off of and all that. Same Matawan Creek. Same creek. Same crick.
They're beating their drums. The Minutemen are coming out of their houses. So there's one company of Patriot militia in this section of town, another over in the southern part of the Fresno section. So these two Patriot groups are starting to move towards the center of Middletown Point. By this time, the Skinner Greens are coming up Church Street. And just about where Church Street runs into Broad Street in Matawan, the fighting starts. And now the Colonials are fighting the Skinner Greens, and a lot of shooting going on, and lives are being taken. Remember, the whole purpose of coming here wasn't just a fight with the local patriots. It was a raid to capture Captain Burrows. So a group from the fighting separates and they wind their way around the back alleys, and they come to the Burrows mansion. And this is close to midnight at this time. So everything seems to be dark inside. So they come and they force the door open, and the Skinner Greens come inside. Their armed Skinner Greens come inside the entryway. Now, coming down the stairwell is this young girl. She has a candle, and she has her night dress on, and she's wearing a little shawl over her shoulders. Now, she's a teenage girl, not real robust, the kind of a frail teenage girl. But remember, her name is Margaret Foreman Burrows. She's a foreman, and these foremans are tough cookies, and they're strong patriots. And as the Tories come in the front entryway, they're standing in the hallway. She says, "What are you doing in my house?" Well, they're amazed with this girl. This young girl is shouting at us, giving us a hard time, and they're kind of taken aback. And first they say, "Well, there's been some fighting uptown. We have some wounded men, and we want your shawl so we can bind the wounds of some of our wounded men." She had her night shawl on, and this young girl, in front of these armed Tories standing in her entryway, makes this little speech. "I'll not give my shawl or anything in this house," to a British subject. You could imagine how a fiery speech like that would go across to armed Tories standing in your entryway. So at that point, they figure, enough of this. He's hiding behind her, and she's stalling. So they rush up the stairwell. A Tory officer hits. Margaret Foreman Burrows is standing on the landing. Tory officer hits her across the chest with the hilt of his sword, and knocks her down, almost knocks her off the landing. His intent wasn't really to kill her, but it was to hurt her, to get her out of the way. And if you're making this speech to us, we'll show you. So he hurts her, and eventually she will die from these, not that night, but eventually she will die from the injuries she sustains the night of the raid. But they start rushing around the house. Remember, Captain Burrows got earlier word. He jumped out the back window. He's hiding in the back of the Matawan Creek. They don't know that. They think he's hiding up in the servants' quarters. John Burrows also at that time was a slave owner. He owned several dozen slaves. He had house servants who were slaves, who were up in the slave quarters. So they think Captain Burrows is hiding up there. They fire their muskets up into the servants' quarters, up on the third floor. We still have musket ball holes from that night in 1778 there, if you're coming on a tour of the Burrows Mansion. And they're just, I'm sure some very, very scared servants under their beds up there. But they finally rush around. They realize that Captain Burrows isn't in the house. So now they decide to make an example of the whole Burrows family. So they take all the furniture in the house, some very, very nice furniture, because John Burrows was quite well-to-do and a very successful merchant. And they make a bonfire in front of the house, just so everybody in the town sees all of this very nice things being burned. So they're taking all this beautiful furniture, all the interior items, and they also decide to torch the house. And later on, when we did an archaeological restoration, we noticed all along the back of the house, char marks where it had been burned at one time. But fortunately, the people in the village were able to put the house out before it was completely consumed. So you have a very, very strong patriot feeling with this house here on Main Street, the Burrows Mansion. The mansion is open officially 2 days a month, the first and third Sunday of the month from 2 to 4 in the afternoon are formal visiting hours.
Love this guy.
But we are also open for groups that would like to have meetings here, or if you'd like to have a special tour, or to bring your group in at a different time. If you contact the Burrows Mansion or the Matawan Historical Society website, we can provide that type of service for a group, and you can have your meeting here, and we will give you a tour of the Burrows Mansion. A typical tour of the mansion lasts about 1 hour. There's quite a bit to talk about. as we go through the mansion, both the 18th century aspect and as the mansion has had a number of different occupants up until the 20th century. We have artifacts from a lot of very nice 18th century furniture, artifacts from different periods, Victorian furniture, things like that, and a lot of stories to tell you about different people who have lived in the mansion. It's quite a history, almost 300 years of history. In fact, the last family to live in the Burroughs Mansion was the Brown family. They came in 1904. Benjamin Franklin Strong Brown was the publisher of the Matawan Journal, one of our first newspapers here. And descendants of the family lived here until 1974, when the mansion was turned over to the town of Matawan to become a museum. The last resident of the mansion, her name is Mildred Brown Herrick, had written a number of different articles about the mansion for some local publications. And she mentioned that when she was growing up as a girl, in the front parlor area, this would be the early 20th century, in the front parlor area, they had a rocking chair. And there was an old gentleman with a three-cornered hat, colonial type dress, who would sit in the rocking chair, rocking back and forth, kind of doing his own thing. And they would walk by and they would say something. He wouldn't really look to them. He would just keep rocking. And they felt very comfortable. And for years, he was like their resident ghost. And they would, and they spread this information on that there was a man who kind of stays at our house, and he's welcome, and we try to be friendly to him. We've also, some of the earlier accounts of the Burroughs Mansion, historical type evidence indicates that some people had recorded seeing a light going up and down the stairwell at the mansion. And they kind of put two and two together, that since Margaret Foreman had been injured in the mansion and eventually became a fatality of that night of the raid, that they believed that might have been her spirit with a light going up and down the stairway. And up to this date, we've had 17 paranormal groups come to the mansion to actually do long, thorough scientific type investigations. Each group that I've been present at each investigation, each group has found one thing or another of interest that has indicated through their experiences that certain things that go on here are of a paranormal nature.
So Margaret, who is a patriot in her own right, supposedly haunts this house, I think in a very nice way, I hope. I was invited to spend the night at this mansion, which I did. Al Savaline, the historian from Matawan, said, come on, bring your camera, bring your microphones, bring all your equipment, and experience it for yourself. So that's what I did, and I'm going to bring you along with me. Here's my report on the haunting of Burroughs Mansion. And Burroughs Mansion is in Matawan. Matawan is such an old historic area. So many wonderful shops and old buildings. You've just got to see it. Many of the homes date back hundreds of years, and the Burroughs Mansion.
Look at that
is no
house.
exception. I spent
It's not
lot
far
of
from
time
me.
in preparation. I strolled around Matawan looking at all these old homes and thinking to myself, what am I going to do if I see a ghost? And here it is. I spent some time walking around the house and around the grounds, and then it was time to go inside. I spent a lot of time in the center hall because that seemed to be where all the action was during the Revolutionary War. But at some point, I was drawn to something in the house. I talked to Al about where were the spirits mostly. He said, if you go upstairs in the slave quarters, there's a lot more negative energy. So we went up the steps. We went up to an area where the slaves were quartered and where they served the masters who lived in the house. And I looked in one particular room, and I was drawn to this area right here.
Now, I wanted to stop it for a second because what's coming up, if you have any kind of trauma whatsoever, or looking back on, things that may have happened to young people as in these conditions, look away. But this is really amazing. I've talked to several other sources on this, and I found it absolutely unbelievable that something like this could be in a house for this long, this many people coming up and coming out, and, researching and studying wallpaper and stucco and how this was not seen is mind blowing to me. But consider this, once you hear this story, consider what people like myself and Lynn and Rob Guttrow and so many other people that have come on here and spoken of that vibration I mentioned in the beginning, that how easy it is to drop below the line or to come up, and as light workers, if you're vibrating up here and you're getting that awakening that might be happening to your consciousness, and you understand a little bit more, your vantage point's a little broader, your what you're taking in and looking at might look totally different because you have new information. That right there, where sometimes, like when Steve says his grandmother, just like mine, would say, some things are just for you. Some things are just for you at this moment. Okay? Consider that when you see what's coming up, because again, mind blown.
With these drawings, do you have any idea what they are? They're very primitive. They don't look like drawings that, you'd milk face.
Now, what I learned about milk face later on was milk face was a derogatory term for the slave owner. And I asked Al, did he know anything about these drawings? He's been in this house for over 10 years. He's been associated with the house for 40. He's been on 17 paranormal investigations inside this house. And he or any of the paranormal investigators that have investigated this house have seen this drawing before. That amazed me.
Winifred, which is a very old name, right?
That's my grandmother's name.
McGrath? Winifred McGrath. I think that's what it says. Winifred McGrath, and I don't know what that is in milk face. So this is Winifred McGrath is here. And this, you would assume, is milk face.
Now, I got chills when I saw this, and my
Not good.
chills got goosebumps when Al told me he had never seen this drawing before. And it really concerned me because here was Winifred, a lady of some kind, or maybe a child, who looked fairly healthy, had fingers and toes. And here was Milkface. Milkface was reaching out to Winifred and had a very small, little tiny head. And underneath Milkface, between his legs, I assume it's a male, was a little tail, or perhaps a sexual organ. I don't know, but it looked bad.
It seems to be there were some
Bad energy.
sad stories up here. But I'm not necessarily frightened that I'm going to be harmed or anything, but I just don't. I usually don't stay up here much longer than I really need to. A number of different things have gone on in the house. Sometimes when you're a tour guide, you'll emphasize certain things as if that were the basic character of the house. What the spirits tend to indicate is that what you say may be true, but there are a lot of other stories that you aren't telling that maybe you don't even know about. And that's where I get the feeling that this is a little bit more complex than just an old house. But I also learned that I'm fascinated in that for that very same reason, that I want to learn about these other aspects of the house. I want to know about the personalities. And as a historian, I love a good story, something that I can relate to someone else about a time period, about an incident, or something that will help someone learn to appreciate what life was like during a different era. And that's why, when I have these sensations that the spirits are here, it just lets me know that there's still quite a bit I have to learn.
This is a cliffhanger, ladies and gentlemen. It's the end of our show, and we're going to, in the next episode, do the spirit investigation. I'm not a paranormal investigator, but I find some very interesting things, and I'm going to share them on the next program.
Well, there you go. And that is let me see what I do. Checking to see if I was on mute. That is the Jersey Bay Shore, a country under default name. If you want to go and finish watching that, there is a second half. They do a paranormal investigation, and it's really interesting because they do find out some stuff. They talk to a couple of other people there that have had experiences. To me, I wanted you to hear that because I didn't get a chance to show it to you during Liberty, but I wanted to finish up not only because it's right here. It's not only right outside my door, all of that coastline and everything that you saw, that's pretty much where I'm at. And the aspect of it had so many different layers. You've got, them coming for the guy because they're going to capture him so they can trade him for who they really want. And, how he has to run for his life, and, also underscoring the whole fact of, once you're in something like that, it's very costly, and that's why when people say, well, we have to do, hold on, let's take a hint from, Samuel Adams and a couple other things, see what they did, see what the outcome was, what could they have done better. Let's look at some of the talks. Let's look at all the stuff we went through in Liberty and go, hey, when this person did this back in the day, this happened. Maybe I can try something different and get a better result. So that's the big thing of also knowing about history and then appreciating what people went through to survive. Here's this 16-year-old girl showing all the bravery and intestinal fortitude she possibly could against armed Tories that are coming bust through her door looking for this, I forget what relationship she was to him. I think it was her cousin, maybe. I can't remember. I don't think it was her dad. But anyhow, the point was, and she's there, 16 years old, brave as all get out, standing in her night clothes and a candle, saying she's not even going to give them her shawl or anything else. She's not trying to play it up to live through it. She's just standing her ground, got her killed, but she stood her ground. She had true grit, that kid. And that's a 16-year-old. So again, gain a little spirit and, insight and spirit, light from that a person could be that way. A person could be that brave and heroic at her young age. And, there's not many variations on this story. It happened. I don't understand how the way the guy describes it, she got hit with the butt of the rifle and then fell down the stairs and it took her days to die. I think a little bit more happened. I think they're not telling some of it. Because back then they were very careful with telling, but I think a little more might have happened. I don't want to start, assume, but it just doesn't make sense that would be it, unless you could, it was a very long staircase. I'm sure she could have cracked her neck, but that would have been instant. So she had internal damage of some kind that took a while to get her. And that's just not good. And she does haunt the place. There's several other ghosts there, like he said, the guy in the tri-corner hat and the rocking chair and more. But there's also this aspect of it, the unsung, that want to be heard. And I think that's why at this point in time, it either showed up, it was either there the whole time and just the right person didn't see it. I mean, how do you explain that? Or it was for that person at that time to see it and it revealed itself through some kind of, psychic, let's just say, magical, the fog got moved away or that person finally saw it, because that doesn't make any sense to me. All the restoration, all the people going to clean and inspect the place and everything, and nobody saw that. That's nuts. It's just nuts. And there's so many stories like that. There's another one I like a whole lot, and I think it's a Kim Russo where she goes back like celebrity ghost stories or something like that. And I can't remember the lady. She was a soap opera lady. She's just strikingly gorgeous. She's got black short hair, just a real lady. And she lived in this Connecticut farmhouse. And her husband just had a great relationship. They're just terrific people. And they started renovating. Well, there was a young girl there that haunted the place. And for some reason, she spent a lot of time in this like closet. It was almost like a small playroom for her. And she did a lot of drawing on the molding, on this, wood molding. And when the guy took all the molding up to refinish it and sand it, he found the writings and stuff. And nobody could understand why nobody had ever said anything about it before. And there was some writing in the closet and some other things. So I always find that so creepy. I guess it kind of, in some ways, brings back that, somebody was actually here, and it kind of brings it more to life, I guess, or validates it in some way. But why do you think that nobody saw that until this moment? I think it has to do with vibration and consciousness and timing. It was meant to be seen at that time, but that's just my theory. If you have another one, put it up there. This one, okay. There was something kind of cool that happened with Fort Mifflin, which again, they say that the fort that saved Philadelphia and all that, we heard a lot of stories about, Fort Mifflin was mentioned many times within our Liberty series. But there was something that happened that I found amazing. And keep in mind that this was before all this AI mess, which is really going to mess with the paranormal. You have no idea. I think it's going to enhance some things depending on how it's used. A lot of people doing their cover art and having other things and trying to, enhance their videos with AI and stuff like that, depending on what you can afford. There's some really good stuff out there. And I think it's going to hurt a lot too, because we already, with the apps and CGI and all the other things, it's really going to make pulling stuff apart. I mean, there's stuff that you can do. You're in a 310i, you can do it, all kinds of other things to be sure. And of course, we always have the things we've always used, like Black Vault and things like that, which is cool. But for the average person looking on social media or looking on YouTube videos, how are you going to know? Because like I said, Godzilla ate New York. It looked real to me. So it's going to be hard, but I think used correctly, it could really enhance things too, but it is going to be difficult to discern, is it real or Memorex, But this one was taken before all that. The kid who took it was in the 3rd grade. You'll hear other stories, but from what I've researched, the most valid story to me is this kid took this with a little, it wasn't an Instamatic. It was, it wasn't that far back. It wasn't the 70s. I think it was in the early 90s. So he's got his camera. He took pictures and it had to be developed. And when they got the pictures back, his parents saw this and said, was this the guy that talked to you? And he goes, no, this was somebody I didn't see. So it's become kind of famous. I didn't know whether you saw it, but I had to show it to you because it's such a good story. And it's one of the stories where the apparition is so solid and so intelligent and talking to people and right there in the moment and so physical that people think he's real. Very interesting story. Here we go. Let me see if we can get this started. I think I have it in the right spot.
Shadow figure. And we had a medium and we got some EVPs where he identifies himself as Michael. His responsibility was either the waste buckets or getting the food to the prisoners.
I guess this was a very vital part of life here in the casemates.
It was.
Fort Mifflin.
You had your prisoners in here, estimated up to 50. So this would be their source of heat. We have a spirit that's been seen numerous times here that when there's a fire, just kneeling, trying to keep warm here by the fireplace. As we come down, we're going to pass smaller casemates. These were used as storage when it was rebuilt under Adams, but these became civilian prison cells. This is casemate 5. During the Civil War, this is where the Union prisoners were kept. It would have been your deserters, murder, any kind of military crime. You can be in here and you hear footsteps coming down towards you, guards walking back and forth. You hear moans, a lot of moans, because the conditions are horrific. These people were basically sleeping in their own human waste. It's also in here. We have a spirit that's partial to blonde females. He likes to stroke their hair, touch them. There's a screaming lady that we hear. It's a blood curdling scream. We don't know exactly who it is. All right, so we're coming into the powder magazine here. This would have been where the gunpowder was stored. And this was designed in case there was an explosion. It didn't blow straight back out. Shadow figures run down this back wall here. When this is no lights in here, it's pitch black. There's no external lights. You can't even see the hand in front of your face. The quartermaster store is part of it with the bathroom. There's been sightings in there. There's a woman that gets sighted in the woman's room. Is when I know that somebody has seen a woman in there because they come running out screaming. You can be in the men's room and you hear somebody in the stalls and you find out there is no one in the stalls. It's empty. There's a Revolutionary War tour guide soldier that usually is around the powder magazine. There's no tour guide on duty.
Here it is.
People will come out and rave about this tour guide.
Did you see that picture? This is the picture the kid took on the 3rd grade field trip. Look at this picture. Look at this. You can see everything. His hands, the way his hand is almost kind of bent like this. It looks like he's almost wearing a ring of some sort or has a wound, a bandage on his finger. You can see everything in his face. One side of his face is kind of blacked out. I don't know if he's just half materialized or not. You see his 3-corner hat. You can see that he's wearing something like a sash or something over one shoulder with a kind of puffy sleeved shirt. I can even see what appears to be some type of buttons going up the sleeve. Can you imagine seeing something this clear in a picture? Look at that. And he wasn't even the one that pointed it out, because the mom goes to pick up the picture. She brings him home. You know, that's kind of how it used to be. The kid comes home from school and they start going through the pictures. Oh, look, and this is, where we went, and this is where they held the prisoners, Mom, and this is this, and this is that. And all of a sudden, what's this? Oh, was this your tour guide? No, some guy took us through some whatever. And he explains, he goes, no, this was, I didn't see this. I don't know who this is. So he could be missing a finger. I don't know. It looks to me like he's either missing a finger or he's got a bandage or he's got a ring. And it looks like he's almost got his hand bent like this, like he's pointing at something. Like, here's my sash, or, it's on my shoulder, or he's doing something like this. And so many people come in and say, oh, that tour guide was wonderful. It was so neat that he was all dressed up and he answered all our questions and he was so personable and he had just had a great personality. And so this guy is like full on here. And I wonder what he's doing. I wonder how he's drawing all that energy. I'd like to know what type of rock this was and, where it's at. Is it on ley lines, whatever. But this guy is amazing. There's a lot of different YouTube videos about it. I tried to get a couple, but they're too new to show you here. I'd get pinched for sure. But quite amazing.
Experience come out and rave about this tour guide. That I went into explicit details about the bombardment, and there's nobody here that was giving tours. We have at the blacksmith shop, we have Jacob is the blacksmith. He was identified himself as Jacob. The commander, the commandant of the fort, I guess would want him to close all the doors and windows. Jacob would sneak up in the back door and get caught and reprimanded. We had a groundskeeper here. Everything would be closed up at night because we have a lot of wildlife here. Door would be open in the mornings, get closed again at night, be open. Eventually, it was ripped off the side of the blacksmith shop. It was re-put up. It kept it ripped off again. Eventually, it was put up, nailed shut, and ripped forcefully off the side of the blacksmith building and thrown up on the hill. And we would tell everybody, respect the dead here. It's one of the most hallowed grounds in the country. These guys, held off the British long enough, so, changed the course of history.
We are not a haunted attraction. We are actually haunted. We invite people to experience it for themselves. We turn out the lights and tell true stories. We don't hire actors. We don't hang up decorations. So it is, by its nature, the energy is different on every visit. We always try to trace the paranormal experience back to our documented history. So we only tell things that we believe to be true, and we determine what we believe to be true by having multiple people have the same or similar experience in the same location of the fort. And then we pass that all through the lens of our documented history and ask, does it make sense? We've been through many battles, but here we still are. It's 100% original historic fabric, home of some of the most immersive and interesting and far-reaching living history programming presented in the city. And we're on every list of the most haunted sites in the country.
It's a great place for history. We have a lot of nature here. It's something for everybody if you want to come out to the fort. It doesn't have to be paranormal. But if you come out, if you're not here for the paranormal, be aware of something might happen.
I didn't want nothing to do with life no more.
All right, there you go. Wow. I had to share that with you because I thought that was one of the coolest stories I've ever heard. So not every group that goes in there, of course, sees him. And sometimes he only appears to like the small groups. A lot of times it's the family groups, but it seems like the ones with the kids, they didn't see him, but he was there, you know, and it's almost like you wonder what this ghost is doing. Is he going through and does he have favorite tour guides that, you know, that he's listening to or whatever? And it's so strange to hear these guys telling stories about, you know, a group will go through, a family will come through and come back and say to them, you know, that was great. We would have never known about this or that, and telling them like these real personal details that only prisoners there or people that work there would know. And that's a constant validation. So when people come on, I will say this again, I am never going to call a guest, you know, there's a couple of times I've gotten a little, you know, it's like, okay, it's my show and I don't even say that. And I'm, you know, that's not where we're going with this. And I'll like tap the brakes and I'm like, you know, believe me, I'm not paying for you to come on here and say stuff like that. I would let you say it if I wasn't, you know, not my presence. You're welcome to feel that way. You're entitled to your opinion and we'll back it 150%, but not in my space. You know, I mean, this is my space but I'm polite to guests and have guests come on here and tell me things that I know are not, you know, I disagree with or whatever. And that's fine. That's fine. That's what it's all about. But I'm not here to debate people. I'm going to let them say what they believe in. And if it need be, I will politely say to them, you know, I beg to differ. You know, we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that. But a lot of times I don't do that because I can read the person's energy. And sometimes they're looking for that. And I won't give it to them. And if they're just basically stating out something that I believe the direct opposite of, like say somebody comes on here and tells me ghosts are made of green jello. It's not grandma. It's something else. I'm going to take that into consideration of who's the person saying it to me. What have they just been through? How deep are their beliefs? How are those beliefs getting them through? Does this need to be said? Does it need to be said right now? Sometimes I just start turning off the lights and taking the plates off the table. It depends on the person. But I'm not going to sit here and argue with them if they want to come in and say, you know, all ghosts are this and I have all the answers. You know, I know people that have been in this 50 years that wouldn't say that. But this ghost that comes out and helps certain, hey honey, how you doing? Welcome in, Beware. That comes in and he's got details that these people wouldn't know. They've described his voice, his humor. He's funny. He's got a quirky kind of, you know, little personality going on. It's amazing to me. And that right there with strangers coming up and saying different things, you know, the same stuff, excuse me, and adding more to it and the details and everything else. Stuff like that is the stuff that you've got to look at if you need that extra foundation so you can ward off people like that are telling you, look, You're absolutely crazy. That's not your grandma sitting on your bed talking to you, even though you know all the things and you're 100% sure and everything in your intuition is telling you that that's her. It's really a demon because they're that good. Well, again, I've said it here before and I'll say it again. I think they're real good tricksters. I think they can do a lot of stuff. I think they can show you a lot of things. I think they can make you see a lot of things, multiple different things that they can do. I think that one thing that they can't is get through those natural born filters that you have as a light worker, that something that evil could come through as something so good without having something feel off. I would say something's off with you, because that's just something that I've seen with multiple, over decades, with multiple different people that'll tell you the same type of thing. You could feel it coming before it gets there. So you could be a low level mimic or something along those lines. But to have something really evil actually resonate inside your vibration and your intuition, inside your light, and come off as light, you'd have to prove that one to me. You know what I mean? Multiple times, probably. So there's that. Lovely ghost story. Lovely ghost story. That kid is just beside himself. And I think when he got to be a little bit more, I think in high school, he shared out the picture a little bit more, because by that time paranormal was getting a little bit more, and nobody believed him. And again, it just got ruined for him because everybody called him a liar. And at that moment in time, it wasn't even as hard as it's going to be now. So, prepare yourselves, paranormalists. So here we go. That's that. Done with Fort Mifflin. I have another one. Which one of these do I want to show you? I'm going to do that one or this one. How much time do we have? We're doing pretty good on time. All right, let's do this one. So these are some of our favorites, and this one doesn't have a theme, but I thought it was really interesting, and it's just one of our favorites. So let's get a little, doggone it. Wrong button again. Choo-choo. Wrong button twice. How am I doing that? Okay, got it now. All right, I see what it did. All right, here we go. I'll tell you guys, get a podcast and put out a couple of episodes and come back and see all the things that could really happen. It's absolutely crazy. Let me see, is that it? And then they changed. I finally got my dark mode, y'all. Look. I finally got my dark mode. My eyes aren't getting blast. I can see the chat better. So that's very cool. Problem is, it just like everything else, it pretty much doubled on me. So we're going to see what we can do about keeping going here. All right. Let's see if this is good. I think this is, am I muted? No, I'm good. I'm just going to run and get some tea. Some hot water in my tea. I'll be right back. But this is typical for, gee, it'd be nice to live in a haunted house. Gee, it'd be great to, wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't it be exciting? And then wham, like he said, now they're afraid to go home. So I'm going to let this run a minute, but I'll be right back, guys. Okay. It's a good one. I love these stories. I'm so glad I found.
It got to the point where I would I would come home from school and I wouldn't do anything else but just go right into the.
Now, what do you think it was? Do you think it was her mother? Do you think that it was the elderly couple that died in there before? Think about it. How many stories have we seen people getting their feet grabbed, the covers pulled off, their feet grabbed? There's one that really resonates with me, and we just lost him recently, Lou Gossett Jr. And he tells a story when he was doing a movie. They put him up in a hotel. They often do close by the location where you're shooting, blah, blah, blah. You can imagine. So he's doing this one. I forget what movie it was, but he tells the story, and it's available on YouTube. Just look up Lou Gossett Jr. Celebrity Ghost Stories. And you can hear the story. It's an amazing story. And he was trying to, I guess, kind of solidify the idea that he was protected by his ancestors, mostly the leader of that would be his little powerful grandmother that passed years before. But she was like the matriarch. She was the one that straightened everybody out and that kind of thing. She was the one that took over a room. And he tells the story great. But while he's there, he is being visited by obvious ghosts of slaves that worked in a sugarcane field that was located right where this hotel was. So he thought at first that they were just mistaking him. It was almost like that story we heard of the Gettysburg reenactors, where the soldiers came to get them the night before. Come on, we got to go. We've got stuff to do. And they're like, whoa, I'm not going with you. You know, he was scared to go with. In this case, they were just trying to talk him into going with them. In Lou Gossett Jr.'s case, it was more like this lady. They're pulling him and they're trying to take him with them. And his grandmother comes in and says, he ain't going nowhere with you. You know, he just took over. It was a wonderful story. But he's got his own theory with that too. But this one, where I don't know. Now, this is why I hate dramatization and reenactment of a story. I'm seeing her tell the story, and I'm wondering, is she saying, as I'm looking up, I'm seeing all these hands on the ceiling, like multiple hands. She's saying she's hearing multiple voices. She didn't say she felt multiple people pulling on her. She just felt like somebody grabbing her legs. So again, this is why details are important, because it's hard to match them with others. But we also have the Smurls. We have so many that were getting pulled from the bed like that. There's nothing we could do. Of course, the Smurls seem to be a lot more aggressive. How do we know this wouldn't get more aggressive if she had stayed? So breaking all that down, the small amount of information we really have, if you're looking at this, here comes this lady. She's selling this house. Now you've got the next group going in. Let me see if y'all are paying attention. If somebody else moves into that house, are they 100% necessarily going to have anything affect them? Would it be because there's so much activity in this house? Obviously, this lady and her husband didn't see it. She was experiencing it. We don't know how the lady and the son before her, the one that was renting it, was it just her? Was it her son? Was it both of them? Were they both experiencing it? And we don't know before that. What do you think? I mean, to me, my guess, my theory would have to be that there's something else there. And if somebody moves into that house, one of the number one things I dislike when people are attacking the paranormal is they will, like an article in the paper or something like that, will say, well, we can't say that they're lying or making stuff up, but, or just saying, you know, making it up to sell a book or the movie, whatever. But the people who live there now have not had any experiences. And they think that that means that the people were lying about it. No. Countless amount of people could move into that house and have nothing else happen. That whatever's causing it could leave and go to the next place, could follow the other people. I mean, there's so many answers to this, but it doesn't mean that nothing happened in that house to those people if somebody else moves in and don't have an experience. It could just be the people. The ghost could be sitting right there just looking at these people, not want to have anything to do with them, or they go off and they do something else, or they hide in the cellar and they're dormant for a while until something else, you know, they renovate or something else happens, or an energy comes in the house that kind of brings them back up. You know, it's a little less complicated in some cases, the way I'm seeing it, and a little more complicated than we give it credit for. Is at the same time, it's the most amazing subject to try to unravel. Okay, I'm going to shut up. We got one more little short story. It's 10 minutes. If it's cool with you, you want another one? I got one more that goes with this of, you know, it's time to move. So let's get this one in because we just love these stories. Now, We back. Back. Okay. Don't know what the heck that was. It said that the browser, I don't think that one had anything to do with YouTube. I think that one was the browser went out. We had a little flash here. So I'm not sure if I can show you that. I don't want to take a chance. So let me show you. Let me show you this one. Give me just a second. I wanted to introduce you to this guy. It's a real quick. I have to go back in and find it. Hold on one sec. I'll finish the rest of that. So what basically, to finish that up, the thing that made that guy move out was he would get up and yeah, I think so. I think that was an actual fluke. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm afraid to start it. So what I want to do is take that last bit and I'll run it through and I'll finish it tomorrow and you can see it. But I want to be sure because I don't want it to shut down again. So what he did was, you know, he goes through the regular stuff, all the roommates, and then they're kind of sort of seeing stuff. So it starts to kind of start fights between that, and they each start kind of moving out, I think, slowly. But what really gets him is that little robot thing keeps winding up on the stairs, no matter how he locks it up and stuff like that. It got too weird for him, and he just, you know, that was it. He was gone. So good story. But it was that thing in the hallway, whatever that was messing with him. And it picked him, I think, out of the group. The other ones kind of maybe weren't paying as much attention. It kind of got into his head. And I think that's where it was getting the energy to do the extra stuff, if that makes sense. But just in case that was one that, you know, you're telling me to run it through a filter and stuff like that. I don't have that. But in some cases, it depends on who else recorded it because it's all over YouTube. And sometimes it doesn't like if it gets played too long or, you know, that picks up some music or something like that. So I don't want to take a chance to have it shut down again. I'd rather show you this real quick. So if I can find it, what did I call that? Here it is. Okay, this is something that I put together because I wanted... Before we go tonight, I wanted to tell you that the name of this documentary I want to share with you, this is it right here. This is what it's called. And these are all the places you can go to see it. It's called Visitors from Hell, Paranormal Horror Stories. It was 2023. It came out. It's a wonderful documentary. It was the one I was telling you about in the beginning. I guess this is the cover. This is a couple places you can go see it. You can see it for free. If you have Plex or Tubi, I think it's free with ads. It's on all of these other streaming services. But it is also, go back out of this one. It is also available here for free. Is this it? Yeah. I'll just give you the title of it here. This is Absolute Sci-Fi on YouTube. Okay. And they have it titled Real Tales of People Haunted Their Entire Lives, Ghost Stories. So this is Jerry. I absolutely love Jerry. And in fact, while we were doing this show, Jerry was finishing up a DM to me, and I think he might be coming on, folks. So I would like to introduce you to, now, again, like I said, just to refresh real quick, there's 4 people and they're all telling their stories, and it kind of does it just like Ghostly Encounters does. So you'll get a little bit and then you'll see somebody else and you'll get a little bit of theirs, and then it goes through the 4 and then it ends it's wonderfully done. The cinematography is great. It's not overdone in between. They've got a couple of, you know, visuals and stuff like that. It's fine. They don't overdo the reenactments. It's just really good paranormal information on the next level. It really is good. And there's a guy in there with an NDE that was very interesting, and some other things happened to him as well. And another young man who's haunted all his life, and he tells what things that happened to him. And then there's Jennifer the medium, and then there's Jerry. So I have a little clip of here. Hopefully it won't get us shut down, and we'll see. But like I said, I love reaching out to these people, and then you actually, like, you're watching them on TV 1 minute and you're talking to them the next. It's an amazing thing. I'll never get over that doing this show. When I was just doing the radio and doing iTunes and stuff like that, I would do the same thing. And I would just be, man, I'm going to reach out. Why not? I'm going to reach out to this person. And I go through, and I'm real good at research. I go through and I find them. I mean, if you're in Google, I mean, it's pretty easy these days. It's most cases, or LinkedIn or something like that. And, you just, well, who are you? Well, I do a podcast and I saw you on a show and I really loved your story. And they're kind of like, if they could get past, I'm really not a stalker. I don't say that anymore because, I guess I am. Because I'm stalking you to come tell my people, my listeners, this story. You got to come, tell this story. So that's Jerry, and I think it's wonderful, and I hope he comes on. He does motocross and other stuff. But when you get an idea of his energy, you're going to go, oh yeah, let's get this guy on. He's fantastic. And I just think you're going to love him, and I think he's going to love you. I can't wait. But here we go. Just a little bit. Spooky time.
Kind of strange. Due to the circumstances of my life experiences, I am 100% without a doubt that there's a bigger spiritual world that any of us understand. I don't claim to be a professional in this industry, but when they contact you, you know. And when you know, you then become a believer. And that's where I stand to this day. I am not surprised or shocked on anything that I see on the funny TV shows that you watch on TV. I enjoy them, and I kind of pick them apart. I don't mock what my experiences are because I know they're real and they've made me a true believer. And because of that, I've now backwards researched and found other compelling evidence around the world that what I was seeing was not my imagination. So for that, I am a true believer of the spiritual world and hauntings and paranormal presence. It's just, it's something that I love to talk about, and I believe it wholeheartedly.
Now, isn't that just fantastic? Just that much, you're going to love him. He's just so down to earth. And this is what I was saying earlier about your mood, and that can dictate the type of contact you might receive or encounter. It's important to remember that, because I think, and Pam, we love you, honey. Here's some happy energy bacon and a nice, cute ghost and big hugs and kisses. We love you, hon. You hang in there. You don't give up. And you go find somebody that you can get a little light from, and you keep trudging on. You keep trudging on. I know it's hard. We've been doing it a while, but don't give up you never give up for, last yard before the finish line or in the curve. You hang in there, and that's easy to say and harder to do, but it's from somebody who's been there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save these for tomorrow night. I'm going to make sure they're cleared through so we don't get shut down again. I do believe that one, I mean, if I thought that one was YouTube, I would have said it, but I think that was my browser. We're having some problems here with, like I said, it was glitchy. So who knows? Maybe somebody didn't want you to see that story, but there it is. And that's Jerry. And I think it's wonderful if you can reach out and get these new people to come in. That's what I like to do for you. Again, it's really simple to go back and with all the podcast people I know and all the paranormal people I know, and just have, Okay, well, who did you have on this week? Let me get their number and let me get them on. I'll do that if I think I can dig more in depth on something that they've already told, or really like to rehash something, like that. But I like to have different people, and it's not because I'm striving to be some kind of different podcast or anything. It's not like that. It's just that's what I'm interested in. I want to dig in and get some it might be the experience, they're seeing a ghost. So, you've heard 100, doesn't matter. How did you see it? What was your vantage point? What were you going through at the time? How did it affect you? How did it affect other people? We always get something from these. And when I can find somebody new that I believe so much, like I believe Jerry, there was never a time where he said something or an inflection in his voice or anything that gave me any kind of bad, vibe like that. In fact, none of these people did in this documentary. So there's your links. Go find it, wherever you can in your country. I hope you can get it on YouTube for free. But like I said, Tubi, Plex, and so many others. I would watch it. I'd watch it tonight. And that way you're going to get a nice full 2 hours of these wonderful ghost stories. Go listen to Jerry's stories, because I'm telling you, if I can get him on here, I told him he could have the whole episode and he could just sit here and chit chat, and we can ask us questions. We can ask him and just see what we all think and just visit, just have a good old time. And he's a man that was going through it his whole life in that house. And he, it was just really something else. And it was some unique experiences, as far as he's also trying to sort it, because he didn't know anything about it, and I just loved the way he did it and the way he handled it and how he came out through it, and his whole demeanor and everything else. So throw it some extra energy out there to Jerry. Call him here. Maybe he'll say, I won't be able to resist. And I've been eating bacon ever since. I don't know why I'm craving bacon so much. So it'll be interesting. But good night, guys. Thank you so much. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to even do this tonight, because I was just so tired. And like I said, I got zero sleep. I remember looking at the clock. It was like 5:58 in the morning. And that's just not me. I don't do sleep deprivation well. And I was so tired, and something said, nope, get this episode out there. It's important. And has nothing to do with me. Has nothing to really do with the stories or the content or anything else. It has to do with getting together in times like this, so we can kind of regenerate each other and go, you know what? I'm not crazy for feeling these things or seeing these things, or maybe seeing things in a different way now. I want you to remember that writing on the wall, literally, that nobody saw for all that time, and just that one person, that one time, everything just came to life. So there you go. It can work for the negative, and it can work for the good. So what side of the line you're going to stand on? I love you all very much. Tomorrow night, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have all these ghost stories. We have some sightings, and we have some other stuff, and we might even talk a little bit about auras and energy. I'm trying to set up Monday nights for Steve, that if he needs to back out because he needs to help Nick and Holden, they're still in their first weeks of having a newborn at home and getting all their getting everything sorted and stuff like that. So I want to leave those nights open for Steve if he wants to come in, and if he has to leave because he's got to do daddy duty, or just spend time with that baby, because it goes so fast and it's so precious, and you don't want to miss any of that time. And I love him dearly, and if he needs to take a couple of Mondays, that's fine. He can have all the Mondays he wants. But he hasn't said one way or the other, but I do need to set them up in case it's just me, or I got somebody else, coming in as well, that I can handle it on my own. So I wanted to make sure that we're covered for tomorrow night, just in case. So we'll do some more ghosts, and spooky season, can't get enough ghosts. So I love y'all. Let's find something for on the way out, since I had to back out and lost it all here. Get you some nice music or something. What y'all want to hear? You want to dance out? You want to have something fun? Let's do this one. I like this one. It's kind of creepy end for tonight. I think it'd be good. I like it. If I can find it. There we go. All right, don't forget, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, I see here, we're going to do some more ghosties. And try to watch that documentary tonight, Truly Paranormal. And I'll see if I can get the link for you in the description too. Okay? Love you guys. Have a good night, and we out. Be good humans.